Welcome to the Lawson and Gift podcast. Make sure to hit that like button, share the videos, and subscribe. Week 12's in the book, so let's get into it. Lawson, let's start with last night's game. Green Bay, absolute terrible outing, and I think there's a couple things to look at here. I think people can say it was the O-line for the Packers that let them down, and that's fine. But I'm accustomed to Aaron Rodgers rising to the occasion and making plays. He didn't hold up his end of the bargain. I think LaFleur got out-coached as well, and I think Pettin got out-coached. And Mike Pettin, man, we've seen him have problems before with his defense getting burned. I don't know if he's got a love affair with Martinez or whatever that's all about, but it's like sometimes you have to switch up coverages. You have to get more speed on the field. He leaves his linebackers out there and expects them to do something in coverage. It's not going to happen, and the 49ers tore up the middle of the field.
Yeah, again, I picked the 49ers to win, but I did not expect this. I even got kind of cold feet about an hour before the game. I was like, well, I think maybe I struck out on this one. But then I saw Kittle was playing, and then we talked about slow linebackers. They don't really have the ability to chase people down. If you're going to have slow linebackers, at least have someone who can sit in that A-gap, put his face mask up against a guard's face mask, and hold his ground against the run. Yeah. That's something that these Packers linebackers can't even do. But yes, I think everyone's focusing on Bulaga going down. That's the reason, Giff, because Bulaga. No, Giff, it's because this Packers team hasn't evolutionized throughout the year. And Giff, I'm not trying to say they're a terrible team, but how dangerous are they really in the playoffs if we take out the name Aaron the Game Rodgers? Yeah. And it doesn't seem like any magic is coming because only having Davante Adams doesn't seem like enough firepower. But also, I expected the Packers to have a really good short pass game due to, first of all, Bosa, Ford coming at him, but also due to the fact that San Fran sits back in cover 3 and the flats are wide open all game. We didn't see that. 49ers are catapulting to the top of the NFC. Yeah. It's that simple. But Packers have a lot of problems. I'm not sure that they're better than the Vikings at this moment.
You can't really say for sure. And, credit to the 49ers because they beat a quality team here. They're for real. They're a top 3 team. They're going to be dangerous. But we can't ignore Green Bay's problems. We just mentioned them. We outlined them all. To only have 81 net passing yards, that's unacceptable. 1 for 15 on third downs, that's unacceptable. And I look at LaFleur with that too. Aaron the Game Rodgers, he's going to be 36 next month. I mean, I think that we have to factor that in. Not everybody can play till they're 40, and he can still play, but I think he's losing a little bit of a step. But LaFleur, I think he holds some blame because I think he's trying to make this offense into something it's not, which is running too much with Jones.
You got to run the ball, guys.
You got to run the ball, but you can't. They can't. Why would you try to do something that you're not going to do? You are not going to be successful running it with Aaron Jones consistently, so you might as well let Aaron Rodgers get comfortable, spread him out, take advantage of that secondary. But like you said, the 49ers felt comfortable in that zone. They were able to sit back there. No mismatches for Davante Adams this game? I mean, come on.
No, and it was really bad. And there's a little bit of ref ball in that game, too, trying to kick the Packers in it. I don't know if it was like the first drive of the third quarter where Richard Sherman got 2 penalties on him in a row. Yeah. And they were really soft penalties.
The first one I thought was because he pushed the running back out of bounds.
It was just him being an asshole at that point.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the refs, when we get to this next game, and I didn't think it had totally to do with the refs, but the Patriots-Cowboys game, 2 suspect tripping calls. I mean, and a couple holdings in there, just enough to help Brady out. And look, I think the Patriots win this game either way because Dak Prescott simply didn't play good in this game, and this is where he needed to step up. But
no, Giff, this wasn't about Dak Prescott.
It had a little bit. The interception was pretty bad, and they couldn't get anything going through the air. I know the weather was bad.
Giff, he's standing in the pocket, 4th and 11. Okay, game's on the line. He's standing in the pocket. Pretty vicious rush coming at him. Makes a perfect throw to Amari Cooper, and Amari Cooper can't even catch it.
Well, that
like,
one play,
I'm just
sure.
saying,
Yeah,
I know it's one play,
Yeah.
and I know it's a symbiote. I know it's not the full presentation, but man, it is a little bit frustrating watching Jason Garrett coach.
Well, that's
it
another
really
issue.
is. I think that's the story of the game. I know
yeah.
that's the easy one. I know.
Well, no, that's true. No. Jason Garrett has to be held accountable as well, and I think they need to seriously go in a different direction. But I really question him going for the field goal with 6 minutes left because, first of all, with how hard it was to move the ball in that game because of the weather, you don't know if you're going to get back into that position. There's not much time left. I think you try to get the touchdown.
Troy Aikman went off.
He
got mad. This is the first time I've seen him get mad since when he first started announcing. It was actually the best game he's announced in a while because even that play on special teams, I think that was what took him over, where the Patriots kicked it a little bit short, like to the 15, and it just bounces. And that is coaching. And for me, the biggest thing of coaching, like you focused on, was them kicking that field goal. It was really lame, Giff. Don't get me wrong.
I thought any reason why it would make sense for him to do that, it made absolutely no sense.
It made no sense. And then, Giff, that was amateur hour. But also amateur hour was Zeke was actually running it good. And we saw the Patriots get cut up by the Baltimore Ravens when the Baltimore Ravens were pounding in at him. Yeah. You have to pound Zeke Elliott more. He actually looked good for the first time in a while, and I didn't understand why we didn't see more of him. It's hard for me to focus on Dak Prescott when Jason Garrett's finally starting to implode. This is kind of how it was like 4 years ago. Hasn't he been coached like 9-10 years though? It feels like forever.
It does.
Maybe this will be his last game. I highly doubt it though.
And, well, we did see Jerry Jones in his comments after the game, and everybody thought that was an indictment on Garrett. When I heard the way he spoke, I didn't really feel like it was. I didn't feel like he was...
Well, and how I read those comments was he also was giving a lot of praise to the hoodie Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think Dallas fans should get too excited over those comments. Yeah, they were pretty negative towards Jason Garrett, but then again... Jerry Jones can use the defense that says, well, everyone gets out-coached by the hoodie.
Well, yeah, it's in New England. I mean, it's against one
Dallas
of the best.
has to win that game, though. And we can siphon back to the Patriots. This offense is bad. And Tom Brady played really good, and it's still really bad. And I know people are hating on Brady, but I thought he played excellent. But this offense is really bad.
Well, and now Sanu has an injury, and you just wonder what they're going to do. I mean, they've always been able to figure this out before, but it might be at a point now where there's nothing Belichick
There's a
can
crazy man in Miami waiting for a call. Do you know who I'm talking about?
A crazy man in Miami.
Antonio Brown.
Oh,
And I don't mean to put pie in the sky for Patriots fans, but if you're a Patriots fan right now, you have to think, we need Antonio Brown or this isn't going to come to fruition.
I think they need to make that move. It would be tough, but I think you got to just put all hurt feelings aside and get him back. The good thing is that the NFL didn't. They said they're going to hold off on investigating it for at least a couple more weeks, so maybe you get him in here.
But maybe that's just to delay the Patriots from signing him due to fear that he might be suspended in the future, and thus putting him in kind of a de facto suspension. You can never trust the league. It seems like from the case of Antonio Brown, he defended himself in the right way. We knew this was a nothing burger at the time. Not saying Antonio Brown behaved well in this situation, but I think the league just wants him as far away from it as possible.
Yeah, and especially with what just happened with Mason Rudolph and Myles Garrett, you think the NFL is going to want to hold off on any issues that could come up. So,
yeah, it's family time this week, Gav.
Yeah, everything has to go according to plan. It's Thanksgiving week. Let's make sure everything's family friendly. And with that, let's get to the Saints-Panthers. Closer game than I thought it would be, but I think this just shows how much the Saints miss Lattimore.
Yeah.
It's a big
But
loss.
Also the Panthers, I picked them to cover, and they're just pretty resilient, and they kept coming at the Saints. And I don't want to say like, well, this game doesn't matter. I'm just not all that sold on people saying the Saints defense is crumbling. I think when it's time to play in the playoffs, I think they're going to be pretty proficient. Yeah. I don't think they're dominant by any means, but they're pretty damn good. And Kyle Allen played really good in that second half. I was really shocked when I was watching it how they got back in that game.
Yeah, DJ Moore played great too. Again, Lattimore not in there, so the Saints secondary is hurting without him. I think that definitely contributed to a lot of points from Carolina. But when it got down to it, it was a close game, and the kicker's got to make that kick. I mean, I would think that's probably, it has to be the story of the game.
Yeah, it is the story of the game. But also, Sean Payton's trying to make refereeing calls the story of the game. Did you see that?
Yeah, and I noticed how they finally called a pass interference from a challenge. They finally did that this season, and
it was. And Sean Payton goes crybaby.
Yeah, and of course the fans did too, and it ended up working in their favor anyway, because of the way it turned out.
But Sean Payton's always crying.
Yeah, there is a lot of complaining, and he always gets erratic in the playoffs, and he has issues, and I think his temper, and yeah, that might have something to do with it. But another thing too, and moving on from Cam Newton, Carolina maybe not the best thing to do. I'm just saying, like,
come on, dude.
First and goal, and Kyle Allen can't get that done. I'm just
saying. Well, you got Christian McCaffrey. I keep hearing, McCaffrey!
He is good.
Like, people slobbering over McCaffrey. Yeah, every time I see the Panthers, it's time to win a game. They're 2 yards, 1 yard away. He just runs into people like this and bounces back. Then, falls down 1 yard. Like, every single time, Gav. No, don't blame Kyle Allen. Christian McCaffrey needs to be able to bolt people through on the 2 yard line. Latavius Murray did it in that same game. Dalvin Cook's been doing it all year. Plenty of running backs do it all year. Christian McCaffrey sucks in short yardage situations.
Yes, and I think that's something we've pointed out on this podcast since he got drafted, was that he's not an in-between the tackle runner. The power isn't so much there with him, and I think, that they should have put in a power back in that situation and maybe tried it a different way.
Or he needs to be able to put his shoulder down and instead of losing a yard, maybe just get to the line of scrimmage, and then maybe you can chalk it up again. Also, running out of the shotgun when you're on the 2 yard line also might not be the best strategy.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about which specific time, but they were down in that goal line quite a bit during that game. If they get a touchdown, they win it like one of those 3 times.
Yeah, it is inexcusable. And then I know I already talked about the kicker, but going forward, I think that might be a problem for them because 2 extra points missed as well.
Well, their season's over. So
it is. Yeah, it is. It is. But they're going to have to seriously consider changing some things, and I think that's one of them. And with that, let's get to the Browns-Dolphins. Not a ton to say here, but this is pretty much what I thought would happen. Just talent outweighed what the Dolphins have defensively.
I do want to ask people, though. I know people keep showing the Browns schedule on TV and saying they got a path to the playoffs. I don't see it. I just need to say that. And also, they weren't really all that impressive. I had some of this game on. They really weren't.
Well, I mean, Odell and Landry, they made their big plays because, as we said on the podcast before this last week, that there wasn't anybody on the Dolphins.
Is Xavier Howard even healthy?
No. So there's nothing that they can do, really. So I think that was more or less the story. But going forward for the Browns, they're going to be playing the Steelers coming up. And obviously that has playoff implications as far as the wild card goes.
Yeah, well, especially with Oakland getting slapped by the Jets. But I'm not so sure a Browns team can go on the road and beat a Steelers team, even with Hodges at quarterback. I do need to say that. I'm not sold on that.
And it looks like the Steelers are even better with Hodges in there. But, yeah, I don't think that they're going to be able to do much offensively against that defense.
Probably not.
And we'll talk more about that when we do the picks this week. But, yeah, going forward, this changes absolutely nothing. They had a good game against the Dolphins.
Who hasn't?
Exactly. And with that, we'll talk about the Bills and Broncos. Bills, they played great against the Dolphins. It doesn't really mean a whole lot.
No.
But, yeah, the Broncos, no quarterback play. Bills' defense stepped up. Still not impressed with the Bills' offense. Still issues on that side of the ball. I did like how they ran it more in this game.
That was the story because the Broncos are really good at run defense. I think that's one thing people keep forgetting. We know they stink. We told you this Flacco situation would turn into really what it's accumulated to, a shit show. There's no other way to say it. But this Broncos run defense is resilient, and they're tough, and they're really tough to move. Bills were able to move them. Frank Gore went off. I think he was the story. But also, Giff, this was a better performance from the Bills. It makes me feel better about the Bills going forward. Not saying that beating the Broncos is like beating the Patriots or beating the Saints or anything like that. But this was a more solid performance from the Bills, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you got to like how they stopped Philip Lindsay, too, to an extent. Didn't let him go off, and that's really been one of the biggest problems for them, is stopping the run. But if they're able to get a little bit better there, which it looks like, then that makes me feel more comfortable about them going forward and in the wild card playoffs.
Well, and Shaq Lawson finally had a big game. I know on one of those sacks he was unblocked, but it still was good athleticism. They need him to get going because they definitely need another big to rush the passer. Jerry Hughes, I can't rely on him anymore, especially with the injuries. Come on now.
No, I laughed when people were trying to tell us that he's an elite pass rusher. That's just absolutely ridiculous. And I think, you got to give some credit to Tre'Davious White, too. I mean, obviously, Allen at quarterback for the Broncos, that's not a winning recipe, but he did do a good job on Sutton. That's not an easy task.
Courtland Sutton's really good, guys.
He is really good.
He's really good.
So credit to him for that. And Frank Gore, of course, we saw him break those records.
And Brandon Allen put up really good passing yardage against the Vikings, and he played pretty good against the Browns. I think he's better. I will say this, though. I think Brandon Allen's better than Drew Lock. Not that we got to see Drew Lock in the real game, because I know we have Bronco subscribers, but I do need to share that. I do think Brandon Allen's a little bit better than Drew Lock. I know Brandon Allen doesn't have a strong arm. That's why that wind kept cutting everything down. Yeah. But I actually like the two young Broncos receivers. I know Courtland Sutton, but I'm blanking on the other dude's name. I think his last name's Patrick. They're both big. They're both strong. They're both fast. If they could just get someone who can deliver it, this team could change it around. Yeah. At least I'm seeing reason to keep Vic Fangio around.
You improve the offensive line a little bit. You find a quarterback and just a couple more pieces defensively, and I think you got it. So there is some optimism for the Broncos going forward. And with that, let's go to the Titans-Jags.
Yeah, this was disappointing, man.
We called it. We knew it was going to happen.
I know. And for me to bet against the Jaguars is crazy, especially since they've been such a money magnet for this podcast for the last 2.5 seasons. But we expected this, and I have to be honest, did not turn on any of this game. I was watching the Patriots-Cowboys, and it looks like I didn't miss much. So you'll have to fill me in.
You didn't miss much, and it was actually a close game until the third quarter, but that's when the wheels came off for Jacksonville.
Why do the wheels come off against Tennessee every year?
Well, I think this is what this little segment here about the Jags has to be, and that's about Doug Marrone. I hate to go there.
Dougie.
We've supported him a lot, and he's earned our praise, but right now, the team, like you said, why are they breaking down? Why are they starting good and then just losing it and laying down? When usually when that happens, it's the coach and they don't believe in what they're doing. I hate to have to blame him for this, but when a team just lays down like that.
Because we know there's no Talvin Smith. I mean, we know they lost some players on defense. No Jalen Ramsey. Yeah. But Tennessee putting up 42 on you. Well, after what happened last year as well, and then the year before that, it gets a little sick.
You still got a decent linebacking core. Your D-line still should be a top 5 defensive line. When you look at the talent, it should be. You still have Boye in the secondary. There's still pieces to work with, so there's no excuse to why they should get blown out of the water.
Well, and it looks like you're right, though, about this Nick Foles experiment. I do think Miracle Nick Foles has a place to play in this league. It's just not sure it's in Jacksonville. Not sure this is going to get any better. Yeah. And Doug Marrone's probably going to have to be the scapegoat. And then I saw an article this morning saying, should Doug Marrone bring Minshew back? That's when you know it's getting ugly.
It's bad. And I'm going to have to think more about what the Jags should do going forward because even firing Marrone,
what would it really do?
Yeah, at this point.
Doesn't it feel like this franchise. And Jeff, I liked it. I visited the stadium. They got lots of hardcore fans. It's a great place. I love Florida. I know a lot of people don't like Florida, but whatever. They have a lot of things to say about Florida fans, which some of it's true, but whatever. Jeff, it just feels like they're in a perpetual holding pattern until they eventually move to London.
It seems like it. And it's
Like,
if they can't retain talent, Talvin Smith mails it in on him this year. Ramsey obviously checked out, wanted out, got traded. When you can't keep star players like that, how are you going to build a team? And I think you're right. I don't think players are going to want to go there until they're moved and the market's bigger and it's worth going to, because right now it's just they're in a bad spot.
And we were bullish about Tennessee, and I think this cements what we said. I'm not ruling Tennessee out for that division. We have to think about it more. We have to look at the schedules this week, maybe get a video Thursday or Friday about the AFC South.
Yeah.
But it's just on gut instinct right now, give me Tennessee. On gut instinct right now, I got to look at the schedule, but give me Tennessee if you had to put a gun in my head.
You got to like the way they're playing. You look at the Chiefs game, you look at this game, I think you got to give them credit. Derrick Henry peaking at the right time. That's huge going down the stretch here in December. Tannehill giving them rejuvenation, and then the defense has pretty much stayed afloat. A little bit worried about the pass rush when they face a good quarterback. But other than that, they are playing their best football right now when they need to the most. And with that, let's go to the Jets Raiders.
You were right about this, right?
Yeah, I was right. I was right about this. I figured the Jets had a chance in this game. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout. I didn't think we would end up seeing Mike Glennon in the third because the game got so out of hand. I did not think that would happen. But
I was watching this game exclusively after I was watching Bills Broncos. When Glennon came in, first play was a fumble. And then 2 plays later, he fumbled again. And no one even hit him. It was ridiculous.
That's really bad. And we have seen him do things like that before. But I think there was some surprises in this game, like Jalen Richard out-rushing Josh Jacobs.
But Kip, I think the Raiders are tired.
They might,
not making excuses, but I do feel like this travel finally caught up to them, and I feel like they're a tired football team. And Darnold finally had a good game this year. He had a decent one against the Cowboys, but this was really him just showing everything he had. And I want to defend Chucky, though. I think this was a smart move, getting Carr out of this game.
Yes.
They weren't coming back. They weren't dealing well with the cold. Nothing was really working. I thought they would be able to run it at least. Not sure why the Jets are turning on God mode effort whatever floats their boat.
I guess it was just the mismatch. And the travel, I think you're right. And the schedule, I think they were a little fatigued, but I think Greg Williams did get the better of Chucky in this game. I think a little bit of coaching had to do with it, but I think it also shows the deficiencies of the Raiders still.
There's deficiencies in that secondary. I think that's where the game was lost. Then the Jets jumped on them, and then it was cold, windy. Carr couldn't really get it going, although he didn't play that bad.
Well, I'm just saying that's where the other part of it comes into with talent because of the weapons, man. Tyrell Williams didn't play good in this game, and you got to have somebody step up. Waller's doing all he can do.
Waller's going to do what he does. He's going to be that consistent rope. But, if Tyrell Williams isn't doing anything, if Josh Jacobs doesn't have a big game, they're going to get blown the fuck out. It's that simple.
And I think, I'm glad you brought that up again because I'm just thinking about how, I know they're tired and I guess that has to be the reason, but how did they not get this run game going?
I was watching.
The Jets trade away Leonard Williams. It's not like they have a lot left up there.
Yeah, it's inexcusable. But one thing that Greg Williams was doing, he was just sending 2 blitzers to the A-gap every time playing run fits, and normally you see Chucky hit him with a bootleg, get Carr out to the right side, rolling right, throwing deep, but we didn't see any of that.
Yeah, and it just was, and for a wild card spot that they're fighting for, and it just being in it and to put up a performance like this, it's got to kill them. And with that, let's get to the Seahawks-Eagles.
MVP!
Yeah.
MVP!
I do say it every week, though, about the Eagles, man. I feel like they're trying. I like Pedersen. I like Jim Schwartz. They're doing the best they can, I feel like, with what they have left. That's the best reaction I can give.
You're right, and Russell Wilson was the difference in this game.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming down on it. But also, though, a lot of people are blaming Wentz, and listen, that's fair. He's in the spotlight. He's in the arena. He's battling. He's fighting. And he owes ownership over a lot of the results. But Brandon Brooks leaving the game the first series due to a panic attack. Him trying to throw to Aguilar and Arcega-Whiteside. Is that any sort of ingredient to beating the Seahawks? And the Seahawks didn't even have Clowney. Could you imagine if they had Clowney running it? Because Seahawks were getting pressure on them.
Yeah.
And I don't know where to go from here if you're an Eagles fan. People were taunting us about our video when we said the Eagles are done. Well, if they are done because their talent depleted at too many positions, but also Cowboys are keeping them in it. I don't know what you can take from this if you're an Eagles fan. I thought they would keep going with the run. Didn't seem to work.
Yeah, I think if you're an Eagles fan, you got to just take this year with what it is, and don't expect much.
No.
But look forward to the future, because I think the future is bright. But this year, it's like you said, just too much depletion on this team right now. But one of the things that was noticeable was Russell, and the fact that Russell actually has some weapons. I mean, DK Metcalf is getting better, and that's a huge thing for the Seahawks. And Tyler Lockett obviously is playing really good. So I think ultimately in a game like this that was close, that's the difference. The Eagles not having weapons.
Yeah, and also Wentz isn't as good as Russell Wilson. That also plays a factor.
That's absolutely true. And with that, and I'll be honest, this is a game I don't have a ton to say about. Actually, I'm more just like in that cornball type feeling after the game. The Redskins beating the Lions, like Haskins couldn't even go out on the field for the victory formation because he was celebrating, and it's already the Haskins era now. And with the Redskins, it's like, come on, man, calm down. They acted like they won a playoff game.
I know, but sometimes sometimes when you're on a really bad team, it feels really good to get a win. I know, Giff, it's cringe when you're watching at home, but I understand the reaction because they are fighting for this. They're
fighting for a future, I guess. That's fine. But I just don't know how you can take anything from beating Driscoll and the Lions. I mean,
you can't take anything.
Stafford plays in this game. Redskins are not
And
winning.
Haskins was really bad again.
Yes, on top of everything else. So
I think that's the story. Haskins was bad again.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it too, because I really don't have anything good to say about it.
No, and I did see the end of this game, and it was a good win by the Redskins, no doubt. But then again, a Driscoll-led Lions with Matt Patricia at the helm. How excited should you get? But for me, this is another game Matt Patricia should have won.
Yeah, well, I agree.
And we can end this game on that, but Matt Patricia doesn't get a check out here.
No, he doesn't. But I also think, a reason for the Redskins to cool down is because this defense of Detroit has been taken advantage of. Trubisky put up more points than what Haskins put forth. So that's how bad the level of the Redskins are right now. They're worse than Chicago offensive levels. That's how bad they are, or close to it.
Yeah, they can't even run the ball.
No. Adrian Peterson, he's on his last leg.
But they can't block anyone all year, though. No. That's the disappointing thing. We can talk about Haskins all we want, but the Redskins offensive line can't block anyone.
No, that's true.
And I don't even know if they're trying.
Or if they even have a lot of talent up there at this point. I mean, how much talent do they have left?
Good point.
And with that, let's go to the Steelers-Bengals. Steelers eked this one out with Delvin the Duck Hodges coming in. But yeah, man, I can't believe Mason Rudolph is playing this bad to where it got to that point.
Yeah, why did it have to get to this point?
I don't know, but as soon as Hodges comes in, he hits James Washington for the game-winning touchdown, and I just wonder, if it's time to just put Rudolph behind.
Because Jeff, the only reason why they were playing Rudolph, it now seems as if is because they wasted a high draft pick on him. Not like a first rounder, but like early third, late second, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So if they have to go with Hodges now, they got no choice.
Since they're still in playoff contention, you have to. for the wild card. You have to go with your best.
Well, because I think they're going to win next week against the Browns.
Yes,
but is this any way to get into the playoffs? They're going to have to watch Devin the Duck Hodges in the playoffs.
Well, the only thing man. If Juju comes
Raiders
back,
need to start winning some games.
Yeah, but I think, the Steelers' defense, you could give credit there.
No, I give tons of credit to Mike Tomlin. I'd give the man an extension.
Yeah.
Although I could see someone trying to lure him away this offseason.
To a better situation, it might happen.
Or maybe to a worse situation in Washington. We've heard those rumors.
Does he want to do that, though? I don't think so.
I don't think so. We'll start seeing him have gray hairs.
And then also the Bengals, they better start thinking about who they're going to get for a quarterback next year.
Yeah, and why isn't any... do you kind of feel like the stench of going 0-16 is less smelly now? Like, no one even has any shame about going 0-16. Like, listen... The Dolphins are pathetic, but at least we gave credit to Flores and Tannehill the last 3-4 weeks when they've at least been putting forth decent games. And we know they're talent deprived, but you can still be in games in this league and have shit rosters. But are we at the point where 0-16 isn't embarrassing anymore? Like, or do the Bengals just only have Ohio State fans and they only have like 30,000 fans? Or are we? Is that why there's no like pressure on them to get a win? Or it just doesn't feel like any pressure on them.
I don't think there is any pressure because I think everybody believes that they're really that bad.
But Gip, they're not 0-16 bad. This roster's not 0-16 bad. I've seen my share of bad teams. We grew up in the Western New York area watching the Buffalo Bills. Okay, I know a bad team when I see one. I know an 0-16 when I've seen one.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem like an 0-16 team to me.
It's not that bad because 0-16 is really extremely bad. You have to have your whole team fall apart. And, the Dolphins, as far as coaching goes, they kept it from getting that bad. They made some changes to at least allow them to be in some games. And that's a completely depleted team. Cincinnati, I would almost say, like with Ryan Finley, maybe they are that bad. With Andy Dalton, I think maybe they could irk out a couple wins.
Yeah, but Zach Taylor's really horrendous.
Yeah.
And someone needs to start giving him some pressure.
Well, wasn't Ryan Finley his guy, so to speak?
Yeah, like, are we going to have to start making Bengals videos now? Because no one's even talking about this.
We might have to, and because I don't know what they're going to do going forward. Because I'm looking at it from perspective of they're completely depleted on the offensive line. They don't have a quarterback. And then the vision of the team. Like, what is it? I mean, I don't even...
There's no vision. At least we know what the Dolphins' vision is. Get draft picks like Chucky and Mayock did.
Yeah. And then the players that you have left, you're seeing some competitiveness from.
Yeah, you're at least seeing Devontae Parker play good if you're a Dolphins fan for the first time in his life.
Yeah.
Like, at least you're seeing some things. What are we seeing from the Bengals? A.J. Green milking injury so he doesn't have to enter this mess? Like, what have we really seen from the Bengals this year? And then, Giff, I know the offensive line's depleted. It was depleted last year. But for the love of bejesus, if you have Joe Mixon and you have a bunch of 300-pound plus dudes, at one point you got to get the run game going. I don't care how bad the offensive line is. I don't care if they're all people off the street. I've seen the Vikings rip holes open with Mike Remmers not even in his right position, okay? This is about pride. This is about coaching. This is pathetic. There needs to be pressure. You can't accept this.
I'll agree with that and just say that you're right. If you have a vision, if you keep pounding that vision home and people buy in, you're right. Eventually you're going to see some good thing.
And I was hesitant to even talk too much about the Bengals because people are probably like, all right, we really don't care. I think Bengals fans care more about Ohio State.
Well, I agree. I agree. And I just think it's worth talking about because it's also their future we're talking about here, too. We're going to next year with Zach Taylor. How is that going to look?
And man, as an NFL fan myself, I know a lot of people just care about their own specific team. But as a full 32 NFL fan, I don't like seeing the Bengals, Dolphins, Redskins be this putrid.
Yeah, well, it does disgust me. It makes me mad. Like, I don't know why. I guess it's because I love football.
But there's not even like a pressure. Like if the Bills are like 3-10 or 2-12, at least there's like pressure from people. But there's not even any pressure.
Well, there isn't, and it's because even when the Bills are losing, they'll pack the stadium. I think fan bases, pressure, that has a lot to do with it too. And you're right. If they care more about Ohio State, then what do they care?
Well, maybe they should think about moving Cincinnati.
Maybe
they talk about moving the Bills every freaking 6 months. I have to open an article and see how they want to move the Bills or move the Jaguars. I'm to the point where they should move Cincinnati because, dude, even when they're good, their stadium doesn't really sell all that well.
That's a good point, and I don't see them getting better anytime soon, so maybe that would be for the best. And with that, let's talk a little bit about the Bears-Giants game. Again, 2 interceptions from Trubisky, a bad outing. They still are able to
thought Daniel Jones actually played good.
He had a few nice plays.
I do want to say that. I felt like that was his best game in a while. But, yeah, same old Mitch Trubisky.
Yes. Too many issues.
You know what
there.
you're getting.
Yeah, no touchdown passes against one of the worst defenses in the league in the Giants.
The worst. They're
Probably.
worse than the Miami Dolphins.
Probably.
They're worse.
Probably, yeah. And you can't get anything done remotely. I mean, to me, that I don't even know why they wouldn't put Chase Daniel in at this point.
I don't get it.
That's another frustrating thing, man. The Bears, they frustrate me because of things like that. Why would you do that? And if you're Matt Nagy, step up and get that done. From a Bears perspective, you got to give credit to the defense because we know that's good. They were the reason why they won this game. So credit there, but yeah, they got to figure this out with the quarterback.
Tough beat on that one. I saw we both had the Bears to cover. I think
yeah,
it was +6. But we told everyone don't bet on that.
Yeah, stay away from that, especially with how poor the Bears' offense is. Why would you bet it? And then with how poor the Giants are. But yeah, Daniel Jones, my boy Caden Smith got a touchdown grab. Not that matters much. But I guess the last thing I'll say about this game is if you're the Giants, I think you got to be a little bit irked with the offensive line and the running game because it should have been better this year. It hasn't been.
The reason why I like Daniel Jones a little bit is because I've seen people literally just bull rushing the guard and literally just taking clotheslines to his neck and he's standing in there delivering it down the field. Yeah. This isn't good enough. And I don't care if Saquon Barkley still has a little bit of an ankle injury. Credit to him for getting out there. But you're right. This blocking just isn't good enough. And I guess Shermer will be the convenient scapegoat. But the people who construct this team, from the ownership to Gentleman, the GM, they need to take a strong look in the mirror.
Well, they do because they make that big trade with the Browns to get the offensive lineman. I'm blanking on his name, but he was a top guard. Right?
Zettler, I think.
Yes, thank you. You draft Will Hernandez.
And then they paid the guy from the Patriots, who's been really bad, by the way. I'm blanking on his name.
Yes, yeah, I am.
At left tackle.
But the point is that they made 3 offensive line moves and costly ones. And it is
very costly,
and it's not paying off in the run game. So that to me is a big issue.
It's not really paying off in the pass game. No. Now, when you play the Bears, though, you do expect to get some pressure. You expect to get some whiplash when you go back to pass it, but not like that. No,
and it's been a problem in all the other games too.
Yeah,
I mean, you expect Khalil Mack to do what he does, and he did. But yeah, this is going on with the whole season. And with that, we'll briefly talk about Bucs-Falcons. So we thought the Falcons were back. They're not. I mean, right?
Is there anything to say about this?
No, because that's pretty much what I take from it. We thought the Falcons were going to play somewhat decent. It looked like maybe they were turning it around. And now it's right back in the rabbit hole for the Falcons.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't have anything to say about it. I didn't watch a second in this game, and I'm damn proud of it.
And I'll just add in a couple other things. Not much, but Matt Ryan, pathetic.
It is.
That's pathetic, man. And going forward, even next year, I don't care. If they fire Dan Quinn, that's great because they need to. But that's not going to change the fact that if everything isn't going great, Matt Ryan isn't going to step up.
Maybe the culture of the team is a problem, and maybe it's not all Dan Quinn's fault.
It's possible.
Maybe it's just the mentality on that team.
It is. It's possible. And the fact that... Well, yeah, because it's not just... I don't think it can be just any one thing right now, but yeah, that...
But you do expect your alpha male quarterback to not let Tampa Bay do you like that as well, though.
Well, and the fact
especially when he's got a full artillery of weapons. His wide receiving core is literally the United States military.
Yeah.
And he's facing like a small Caribbean nation in terms of Tampa Bay secondary, and you still don't see any explosion.
Well, yeah, you don't. And you got 8 straight games now where Julio Jones doesn't have a touchdown grab. And I look at Matt Ryan, and I blame him for that. And this is a game where Winston turned the football over, too, and gave chances back to Atlanta to come back in this game. And then the defense, I mean, that's on Dan Quinn for what that's worth. I mean, that's his to fix. And he hasn't done it. And with that, we got through all these games, and we can briefly talk about tonight's game.
Rams in an upset, and I know everyone thinks I'm digging the hole, I'm digging the trench, World War I style, throwing out the mustard gas, putting on the gas mask. But I do think that the Rams have a chance to neutralize Lamar Jackson on the defensive side of the football. I'm not picking the Rams due to the offense, but I do think the Rams are going to get back to the run game. And if Sean McVay doesn't realize that Jared Goff can really only be effective with heavy doses of play action, I think he might turn into a lost cause. But like you said, if like the last 2 weeks, it seems like the Rams are inching back to that style, to the play action, to the pounding. So give me the Rams in a close game, last possession game.
Slowly but surely, it seems like they're getting back on track. And I did go the Ravens earlier.
You're changing your pick?
And I am changing my pick to the Rams as well. And it's because from what reports I read, Brandon Cooks is going to be back. Robert Woods is going to be back. That's enough firepower for me. And I like that they're getting back to the run game. It seems like slowly but surely it's coming back. I think they're going to be able to get some stuff done offensively in this game. We know that the Ravens up front have issues, so this could be a good game to get the run game on track for the Rams. And then defensively, I'm really curious to see how this Rams defense plays. I'm expecting that they're going to be able to stop the run.
Yeah.
And with that, make sure to hit that like button, share the videos, and subscribe.